North America, all of a sudden, it was an explosion of breweries. People were opening breweries all over the place. There was literally a brewery opening in the United States almost every week. A lot of them bad, some of them very good. So there was a mix. Cerveceria Colorado opened up in Brazil in the 90s. I first heard about Eisenbahn through Giuliano just into the 2000s. Things started to happen throughout the Americas in terms of small brewery openings and excitement.
Então, na década de 90, teve um boom de cervejarias artesanais. Nos Estados Unidos, praticamente toda semana abriu uma cervejaria nova. Muitas delas muito boas, muitas delas muito ruins, mas muitas cervejarias abriu. Aqui no Brasil, a Colorado surgiu na década de 90, ele citou a Eisenbahn aí na década do ano 2000. Então, começou a aparecer um número grande de cervejarias artesanais.
And then over in Europe, cask conditioned ale started to really pick up in England. The Belgians started to really appreciate what they had at their disposal, and small breweries in Belgium started to open. The exception was the Czechs and the Germans, who both were suffering brewery closures, but that would change in about another 10 years. So there was a lot of excitement about brewing. I believe it was somewhere around the late 90s, the Japanese were legally allowed to start opening small breweries. So there was a global craft brewing movement afoot.
Então, na Inglaterra, de novo, comento que os cervejeiros ingleses começaram a fazer em maior quantidade a cask conditioned ale. Na Bélgica, de novo, voltaram a fazer as especialidades belgas. No Japão, no final da década de 90, os cervejeiros conseguiram mudar a legislação que permitiu que cervejarias artesanais pequenas nascessem naquele país. Então começou a se desenvolver pelo mundo inteiro um mercado de cervejarias artesanais.
Now, I saw most of all of what I described to you. In 1975, I was 11 years old. So while I was drinking beer, I was not drinking Anchor beer. I grew up in Quebec, where the law in Quebec is that if you can reach up to the counter to put your money, you're legally old enough to buy beer.
Então, em 1975, ele tinha 11 anos, então ele acompanhou todo esse processo, e naquela época ele só bebia cerveja ruim, não existia outra opção. E em Quebec, o que a lei diz é que se ele tem altura suficiente, tamanho suficiente para alcançar o balcão, ele já está com idade legal para poder beber.
So I started writing about beer around 1990, and this was where things got really interesting, both in North America and over in Europe. And we started seeing traditional beer styles take hold. And when I talk about traditional beer styles, I mean beers that we now know. And the important thing to remember is that traditional beer styles were not always traditional. So now we think about beers as, oh yeah, that was always there. There was always a best bitter, there was always a porter, there was always a bock. But at some stage, these beers were innovation.
Então, na década de 90, quando ele começou a escrever sobre cerveja, foi justamente esse boom de cervejarias artesanais, ele começou a ver muitas cervejarias produzindo estilos tradicionais de cerveja, como bock, porter e tudo mais. Mas o que é interessante é que todo mundo pensa, esses estilos tradicionais sempre existiram. Isso não é verdade. Em algum momento elas não existiam, alguém inventou. Então elas já foram, em um dia, elas já foram uma inovação. Pode começar a servir a primeira cerveja, tá?
Okay, so going back to the timeline, in the 2000s, we're now seeing growth in beer in Belgium, growth in beer in North America, growth in beer in other parts of Europe, Italy, France. But the odd thing is the per capita consumption of beer is actually dropping.
Então começa a se ver cervejas, né, diferenciadas aí na Europa, nos Estados Unidos, no Brasil, em todos os lugares. Mas a situação real é que o consumo per capita de cerveja vem caindo.
The only places where beer consumption per capita was rising were in areas that were experiencing economic growth and without craft brewing. So in Brazil, per capita consumption was rising. In Russia, per capita consumption was rising. These were countries that I'm talking about in the 2000s. These are countries that are experiencing strong economic growth without any real craft brewing movement at the time.
Então, antes, corrigindo o que eu falei antes, foi no início dos anos 2000, né, que a consumo per capita estava caindo nessa década. Então, o que disse agora é que os países, os únicos lugares do mundo onde o consumo per capita estava subindo eram nos países que não tinham cervejas artesanais. Por exemplo, o Brasil, né, que só tinha praticamente cervejas industrializadas.
So what we're experiencing in North America in the meantime is the decline of the big brewers. Every big brewery in the United States and Canada is suffering decreasing sales. But the small brewers are growing by 8, 9, 10% a year. And in some cases, double digits. In Europe, we're seeing in Germany breweries closing, but the small artisanal breweries were actually growing. In Belgium, same thing. The larger traditional, like lager breweries, were decreasing sales, smaller artisanal breweries growing.
Então, nesse período todo aí, o que vem acontecendo hoje, inclusive, cervejarias grandes vêm perdendo participação de mercado, né? O volume de vendas vem caindo. As cervejarias artesanais pequenas vêm crescendo. Então, nos Estados Unidos, cervejas crescendo 8, 9, 10%, algumas crescendo 2 dígitos. É isso em todos os lugares. As artesanais vêm crescendo, as grandes vêm tendo uma diminuição.